We're going to see a massive explosion in digital assets in this country.
Breaking news. Bitcoin's price is about to explode much higher. Altcoins will follow hard. Like even Michael Saylor is now admitting crypto is about to boom.
I'd like to see the industry go from $1 trillion of digital assets to $500 trillion of digital assets that are tokenized.
Could there come a time where you're pro-Ripple and maybe even to the point that you recommend clients to it? Is there a possibility?
Saylor just convinced the Rumble CEO to add Bitcoin to its balance sheet. Saylor's meeting with the Microsoft board shortly as Microsoft is considering it.
Microsoft is facing a shareholder vote next month that would force the board to evaluate Bitcoin as a treasury asset. Do you think that these types of shareholder proposals are a good way or the best way to push Bitcoin as a reserve?
Well, first of all, I think it's a perfectly fine way to do it. And the activists that put that proposal together contacted me to present to the board. And I agreed to provide a 3-minute presentation. That's all you're allowed. And I'm going to actually post that online and I'm going to present it to the board of directors. We also offered to withdraw that proposal if Satya Nadella would meet me. And I said I would fly to wherever he is and meet him in confidence in his office for an hour to discuss. But that offer was not accepted. So you will see me putting together the 3-minute proposal for Microsoft and it'll get posted and we'll send it to the board. And I think it's a good and not a bad idea to put it on the agenda of every company. It ought to be put on the agenda at Berkshire Hathaway and Apple and Google and Meta, because they all have huge hoards of cash. They're all burning shareholder value. The approach of Microsoft is 98.5% of the enterprise value is levered to quarterly earnings, and 1.5% of the value of the stock is tangible assets. And it would be a lot more stable stock and a much less risky stock if half the enterprise value of the stock was based upon tangible assets or property like Bitcoin. So I think there's a great argument to be made. I think shareholders should make it. We're preparing materials and we're enthusiastic advocates. And if anybody's got an entree to the board of a company with massive amounts of capital, I'm happy to help.
So things have changed in a big way. We'll talk about a new updated Bitcoin price prediction in just a second and altcoins that you need to get on your radar. Understand Bitcoin is undervalued. Understand Ethereum and crypto is extremely undervalued. BlackRock is literally giving presentations on this.
Investing at BlackRock, I really spend a lot of my time thinking about the future and some of the disruptive changes that are impacting the world and society and the economy and our portfolios around us.
So understand, BlackRock is actively selling Bitcoin and Ethereum to their clients. And this is part of the reason that we've seen their ETF products explode and why these numbers will keep exploding. Imagine not buying crypto after you hear just 60 seconds of this.
What we found with blockchain and digital assets is that in some ways, this is one of the fastest growing technologies we've seen in the last few years. On the right-hand side of the chart, you can see our adoption curve. This is just looking at how quickly certain assets are adopted by a society. And you can see that blockchain and digital assets are being adopted faster than major revolutions before it, whether that's the internet or whether that's cell phones.
So there are 3 big reasons why crypto is about to explode even further. 3 big reasons why BlackRock is actively encouraging their client base to accumulate Bitcoin and Ethereum.
And there's a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is just we're living in a more digital economy than ever before. If we're consuming things online, streaming videos, playing video games, buying digital content, it makes sense to have digitally native assets to conduct those transactions, particularly when there's... Secondly, and importantly, in a year like this year, where over half the world's population is voting for new leadership, not just the elections in the United States, in Mexico, in India, and the European Union, we're seeing more geopolitical risk than before, and in fact, declining trust in institutions, whether that's trust in government institutions for maintaining peace and order, whether that's trust in central banks in terms of keeping inflation under control. More distrust has exacerbated the need for a global monetary alternative. The third we're seeing is demographic changes, the rise of the millennial and Gen Z generation, Millennials, at least in the United States, are set to inherit trillions of dollars, are entering peak earnings years in their work, and are increasingly playing an important role in the economy. And millennials are very different from previous generations because we, were the first generation to be digitally native, growing up with the internet, growing up with computers. We understand digital better than previous generations, and that means we're more likely to adopt digital currencies.
And yes, the call to action at the end is specifically buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum, buy crypto.
So between all of these tailwinds, it's really creating the opportunity for digital assets to gain broader adoption across more investors around the world. We feel that between these two assets, which represent about 75% of the market cap of the digital asset space and have some of the most liquidity in the digital asset space, that we can really start to make headway in terms of bringing out accessible vehicles to more investors.
By the way, the best place to buy Bitcoin is through our sponsor, the Fold app. Scan this QR code or use our link below, download the Fold app, and get 20,000 sats, about $15, when you make your first Bitcoin purchase. The best way to increase your Bitcoin stack is to use the Fold app for your everyday purchases and gift card purchases throughout the holiday season. This is an infinite Bitcoin glitch because I was going to buy stuff like this anyway, Best Buy, Amazon, DoorDash. I've earned so much more Bitcoin since I started regularly using the Fold app. Fold app has a direct deposit option, so you can get paid in Bitcoin. Just, download it, get your Fold card. Mine gets here soon. Start today. Scan this QR code. Do it now. So please try to see what's actually happening, what's actually going to get us to this new price level. We'll reveal in just 1 minute. Understand that Wall Street is rolling out big financial products that will literally 100x the crypto space. CNBC perfectly explains the significance of all this to their audience. This is what crypto investors have been waiting for.
What's going on?
Is what U.S. crypto investors have been waiting for. On Tuesday, the Nasdaq listed options on BlackRock's $44 billion spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, day one of trading showed that more than 80% of options volume were call orders to buy Bitcoin, meaning that investors are betting that the token is poised for even more gains. And this is just the first of the U.S.-based asset issuers to offer options. The other 10 providers will soon follow suit, with several more slated to list on the New York Stock Exchange later today. Now, this is really a significant moment for Bitcoin adoption, because rather than just buying and holding the asset, this next stage is all about creating a new margin framework for Bitcoin so that you can amplify your returns. Being able to hedge positions and make leveraged bets is a big draw both to retail and to institutions. And even though we've seen a lot of trading volume on the CME derivatives exchange, getting options tied to these spot crypto products on the Nasdaq and NYSE is a big unlock for traders, because ultimately, Andrew, a more robust onshore derivatives market is how you attract fresh investment, which is a tailwind for the price of Bitcoin.
Even crypto native Galaxy Digital's Alex Thorne confirms this, that the crypto space is about to 100x.
What do you think the effect of options being available on IBIT has, if any, on the market?
I think it's a big effect. All other markets, commodities, equities, the derivatives and options markets are orders of magnitude larger than the spot markets. I think it gives institutions really good abilities to hedge. Better than anything. Think about the onshore options market in the U.S. is very thin, right? You have some CME options. You used to have smaller shops. Some of those went away. So outside of the OTC space, there's not been a good place for institutions to do options. And by the way, I should mention retail. 44% of U.S. equity options are traded by retail, and they really can't access any options at all. So you can imagine if we get into a bull market where retail is trading on Robinhood and other fintech apps, that those options could be really impactful.
That was literally my first thought, was how soon can you find these on Robinhood? But
I don't work for them, so I'm not sure. But I would be surprised if it's not quite soon.
And obviously, Bitcoin's going to keep growing, but Bitcoin's price isn't going to 100x this cycle. You know that, right? It's the crypto space at large that's going to 100x. Solana, XRP, Chainlink, Cardano, Sui, Render, Stacks, Injective. I'd look into these altcoins. many others. I mean, this is why we do top altcoin videos on this channel. It's altcoins that are truly going to benefit from all this.
But what about next year? You think about the Trump administration coming in, potentially a new Treasury Secretary. Let's see how soon that happens, but also a new wave of potential products. We talk to people all the time on the show about people who are looking at that next set of spot ETFs. How soon do you get one tied to XRP? How soon do you get one tied to Solana? How liquid can those markets get?
If they launch, I think they can get quite liquid over the medium and longer term.
Any coin we talk about, you can buy, sell, or trade any of these crypto coins on today's list on Bybit exchange. Make an account on Bybit, claim up to $30,000 worth of deposit bonuses. I like Bybit. I use them for buying, selling, and trading.
In terms of time frame, I think it's pretty unclear. Jay Clayton, I think, was formally was named January 4th, 2017. His name was officially put forward by then President Trump, basically the day of inauguration, and he wasn't confirmed until May by the Senate. So assuming something similar plays out, you're not going to see a new nominated confirmed chair of the SEC until several months. And so we just don't know. But I think, look, the Ether futures have underwhelmed. The Ether spot ETFs have underwhelmed. I don't think that will last forever. So presumably there's a market for a Solana ETF or an XRP ETF.
And even Michael Saylor seems to be doing a total 180 now. It seems he has come to terms with the fact that crypto is going to thrive in the US going forward.
We're going to see a massive explosion in digital assets in this country. There's no reason why half the equity on the NASDAQ can't start trading digitally. Why not Apple stock trade digitally 24/7, 365? Why not Katy Perry issue a Katy Perry token if she wants? Or how about your company? PBD, why can't you actually go public and issue your own digital security or a digital token? There ought to be an ethical way to do it. I think that the law ought to be simpler. It ought to be just don't lie, cheat, and steal. And I think that you need an alignment of the White House, the Senate, and the House to put in place a freedom, innovation-oriented digital economy. So I would say right now I'm fairly bullish it'll happen. I think they want to do it. And I think that, I don't recommend any particular security or any particular investment other than Bitcoin, but I do think that it's better for the world if we have hundreds of thousands of digital assets created, launched, and I'd like to see the industry go from $1 trillion of digital assets to $500 trillion of digital assets that are tokenized.
Could there come a time where you're pro-Ripple and maybe even to the point that you recommend clients to it? Is there a possibility?
I'm Bitcoin only, 100%. Like, the truth is, I wouldn't even recommend Apple stock.
So how high can Bitcoin's price really go? Knowing what we know now, this is the new number. I think that this price is totally possible. Subscribe to our channel, join our team, listen.
Maybe crypto is hogging all that energy because, that's been an undeniable move, and it's like strength upon strength and getting strength. So where do you see that headed?
I love Bitcoin, I'm a big bull on it. My longer term count is somewhere around the 200,000 area, maybe even 240. Hope I don't jinx it by saying that, but it's quite remarkable, its trend in itself. And how I get there is a couple different ways. If this year was just a consolidation of 2023's massive rally, from a measured move perspective, that gets you to about 200. The last 3 years in itself was a consolidation in itself, so it's like a base upon a base, and that even gets you up to like the 300s area. So the trend is undeniably strong within the Bitcoin.